Hi, I'm Shivani, and I'm a editorial photographer and an artist.
So how did you know you wanted to be, in the creative space? Was there like a moment that pushed you to take that leap, or was it always the plan?
I definitely want to say it wasn't always the plan. I think it just kind of authentically flowed within my life. Like I always knew that I loved photography at a really young age, like when I was 16 or 17. And I knew I instantly wanted to get into that, but I didn't know if that was going to be 100% what I would pursue. So I definitely want to say it wasn't something that I planned, but as time progressed and as I got more and more invested into it, it very much became a long-term thing where I was like, yeah, no, this is what I want to do. But definitely when I started, it wasn't something that I was 100% like, yeah, this is going to be it. Like, I know that I'm going to do something creative. It was like, okay, this is like an option. Let's see how it goes. As like I got into like university and stuff, it just kind of was embedded that I was like, okay, I really like this. I enjoy it. I'm good at it. I think I'm good at it.
You are, you are.
I assume I'm okay at it. But I just kept wanting to like keep pushing myself and keep learning. And that's something that for me, because I'm very like, I'm a visual learner and I'm a visual person. I knew that that was like, okay, if I'm pushing myself more and I'm constantly working on this, clearly I want to do it. So something
Mhm.
I'm okay with.
And now that you're at this point in your career and your, digital creator life, what is something that you would tell young Shivani?
Oh, I would definitely tell younger me to just post and work on whatever you want to work on. Like create what you want to create and not what others want you to create. I think for a really long time I was just trying to please an audience, please
Mhm.
clients and try to fit into what everybody else was doing on the internet. And I think that it was a really big struggle for me to figure out who I was as I was growing and I was building this platform on YouTube and on Instagram. So the one thing I would tell myself is to just post what you want to post and make what you want to make and like let everything else fall into place. Like don't follow rules is what I would tell myself.
And especially when you're like a creative, I feel like, you kind of inherently want to create for yourself. But
Yeah.
then when you're thrown into this mix where, your income may be dependent on these digital platforms, you start to like skew what you're doing for that audience. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've definitely noticed like a not a shift, but like yeah, let's call it a shift in the kind of content that you post, and it's very much more aligned with what I think when I think of you
Yeah.
versus some of the branded things that I've seen in the past for
A hundred
sure.
percent, 100%. I think especially when I obviously signed with Counterculture, it just was like it just fits so well, and everything that we've been doing has made so much more sense to me. It's also made me realize like, okay, this is 100% what I love to do, and like the style that I like to post, and I feel very comfortable, which is
Yeah.
like the main thing that I always try to like stay in balance with, is like
Yeah.
losing sight of that and balance like mixing the whole like what brands are looking for, but also what I can offer that is very me.
Mhm.
And so far, that's been really successful, and I've been
Yeah.
really enjoying it, which is important.
So when you think back, like what's one of the biggest stressors or biggest hurdles that you've kind of gone through throughout this journey?
Probably, I think just as someone who's an independent female artist, it's figuring out like where to start professionally. I think when I was in school, it was never really taught, which is so crazy. So getting out of school, it kind of hit me. It's like, okay, how do I make this a career? Pretty much. It's like everyone just sees art mostly as like a side hobby. It's like, no, like
Mhm.
I know that like there's a lot of success in what artists do, but how do I even start? So I think the biggest struggle was transitioning from all of my like part-time jobs, my internships, and making it full time, like just completely doing art. So that was a really big struggle for me and figuring that on my own because this industry is also kind of cutthroat. It's like no one wants to share their secrets or like their business models and stuff like that. But in the long run, it's like it's one of my favorite things to do is to help people out and like give people advice and like and kind of do what like be successful in what they want to do. So for me, that was a struggle to just figure out by myself.
What is a piece of advice that you wish you had gotten or that you would give to someone who's kind of looking to you as a mentor?
Patience. I think patience is so key. I think I remember telling my parents this too, because I knew for a fact when I graduated university, I was like, okay, give me like 10 years. I'm giving myself 10 years to like really make it the way that I want to make it. And as time progressed, like it very much happened. And I was like, honestly, patience and like constantly do work. Like don't stop working. Don't stop doing anything creative that benefits your portfolio or benefits you as an artist. I get a lot of questions about like, how did you get to this point with like your art or your skill? And it's like constantly practicing, doing free labor, like free work, a lot of, you know, self-learning, online courses, workshops, things like that. It's one of the reasons why I held workshops were for people who may not want to do the 4-year program at a university, but still want to get the same beneficial information that they would need to like get to that point. So I think my best advice is patience and practice.
And honestly, like giving yourself 10 years is very like reasonable.
Yeah, like
and it is like a lot.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like, the world that we live in, we're like, okay, if I don't do this in 6 months, like I'm on to something else. So like that's very admirable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, when you get out of school, you're so young. It's like you're not, I think you still have so much to figure out as a person, especially when you're an artist. It's like you're all over the place and you're just trying to like, I don't do the 9 to 5s, or I don't have like a government job or whatever. Like I need to figure myself out. So for me, I'm like 10 years. I was like, I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm not going to push myself to the point where I'm going to completely crash and like hate what I do. Because if I do that, like, what is my backup plan? And like, I know that I'm for sure passionate about art. So yeah, patience is key. So giving yourself enough time to breathe, balance, and figure out where exactly this is going to go to is really important.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like I need a bit of that advice too. Like, doesn't happen now. It's a failure, and I need to move on.
I mean, things happen, and I think like it's totally okay to be a bit hard on yourself and give yourself some self-criticism. It's the only way to really grow. But at the end of the day, like if things are a little too flustered, like stop, and breathe. Like just remind yourself like good things take time.
Let's talk about your brand a little bit more. So you founded Modern Day Swim with a focus on minimalism and a modern take on versatility, as all the pieces can be worn as like everyday wear or even to the beach. Can you talk a little bit about what led you to start this brand and what aspects were the most important for you to focus on, like when you were first starting it out?
Yeah, I think so for me, wearing a bikini or a swimsuit was always kind of like mentally a struggle. I think obviously loving your body as a woman in this day and age is really difficult, especially with everything that's on social media. It can be really tough to like compare yourself and like you want to buy all these big brands. And then, I've had this experience where I would put so much money into a swimsuit that everyone's wearing, that everyone raves about, and it just does not fit my body right. And then I tend to question like, what's wrong with me? I need to go to the gym all the time. I need to switch my diets, like all this stuff. And for me, like I love wearing bikinis. I love traveling, and I love, like the female body. I think it's so beautiful. And so I decided to create Modern Day Swim as a way to reflect like what I would wear and what I would feel comfortable in, and what I think women would also resonate with who feel the same way as me. Like I think it's really difficult to cater to every single woman. I completely like understand that not everything works for everybody. But if I could make at least like 5 women just love themselves wearing something so simple, minimal, eco-friendly, and also something that could be part of a capsule wardrobe, so it's still like not cluttering your lifestyle, I would be super happy. So it's like a reflection of my lifestyle, I guess, is what the brand is, and obviously to make women happy. Like at the end of the day, it's like never going to be anything like competitive. It's never going to be like you have to look a certain way to wear this. It's like, no, like we cater to you. You tell me what you want, and I will definitely put my spin on it. And as long as you feel super good and comfortable wearing it, then we're golden. Like
you have the one piece, and it does all those things. And I've certainly worn it with jeans and a blazer, or like to the beach. I mean, it's been a very long time since I've been to the beach, but we'll be back there one day. But yeah, I think it's like so amazing how through everything that you do, there's just like this appreciation for like women, and just like I think that comes from you and how you inherently are. But yeah, I love everything about that. And um, what's what's kind of the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself throughout this process?
Something surprising I think is how much I can handle. I think I
Mm,
put a lot on my plate and I know I
yeah.
put a lot on my plate, but I also am just the type of person that like I need to have a lot going on in order to keep the creative juices flowing. I know it sounds so cheesy, but
Hmm.
I think when it comes to the swimwear, it's a different hands-on than let's say like my creative art and influencing content. This is more hands-on. This is more like contact, like person to person. This is more physical. And I think a real surprise for me was how I ended up even coming up with it, because for a while I've always kind of wanted a swimwear line. I was like, maybe one day I'm just going to design my own. And I would state this at like 18.
Yeah.
So almost 10 years later now, I'm just like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe I even like put a foot forward to do that, knowing I have like a few other things on my plate. And I was like, no, add it on. Sometimes I surprise myself that way. And also just like the support I also get from the influencing community, I think is really important. Like family and friends are always definitely like got my back and everything. But I think when I hear
Yeah.
from other creators who also struggle with the same issues, or have a bit more of a say, let's say, in things in the industry, I think getting their feedback and support is super important to me.
We kind of feel alone in the, let's say like negative self-talk that we're having with ourselves, or we feel alone in like the fact that we can't find something on the market that fits us. So, I think it's great when there's a brand that like answers to those qualms or the questions that you have. Like, I've never been able to find a one piece that fits because like
Yeah,
my bust doesn't match the rest, and it's just like I would have to buy separate pieces and whatever. So
yeah,
I think, and it was always like, what's wrong with me, not what's wrong with what's available on the market. So I
exactly.
think that completely makes sense.
I think every woman goes through that too, and it's always like we always end up just like knocking ourselves down. But for sure,
Hmm.
it's now my mindset's changed to being like, if I put on a pair of jeans that doesn't fit, I'm like, how are people making this? Like
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense. Like, this doesn't fit a normal body.
Yeah.
And I think it's obviously difficult to cater to everyone, like I said prior, but
Yeah.
again, if I can cater to as many people, like right now we're made to order on purpose. Like I
Hmm.
don't do any manufacturing and stuff, like mostly for sustainable purposes, and also because I want to make sure that we get everyone's sizing like as close as possible. And like I always tell people who are interested, I'm like, send us your measurements. Like we'll make it to the exact size that you need it. And then as we grow as a business, we'll just add more people to the team. Like keep it in
Hmm.
house instead of getting it manufactured. And then apparently everyone just has to be this one size small. But
Yeah.
there's different size smalls and different size mediums that
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of brands that I've come across fully cater to. I'm like, not everyone is going to be this size medium or this size large. Like it's so different for everybody.
You talked about, having a lot on your plate, and you certainly like do the most. So you're a published photographer, videographer. You also do creator work in front of the camera. You founded this swim brand. You do your hair, skincare, beauty on YouTube channel that has, over 86K subscribers. Your portfolio is bursting with creative and inspiring achievements. And how do you stay on top of it all?
When you put it like that, sometimes do all that. It's hard to remember actually how much one actually does. I think the first thing that really got me into time management was my fourth year of university. I had full-time course load. I had an internship. I had two jobs at the time, living like on my own. So I learned time management very fast because I had no choice. So
Yeah.
when I graduated university, I already had this kind of skill set of like, okay, being super organized. Like, there's
Mhm.
no other way for me to like really put it into like better words than just being organized. Like writing
Mhm.
everything down, making sure I plan like my months in advance, as like far advanced as I can.
Yeah.
and also making sure that like I give myself breaks.
Hmm.
Years ago, I wasn't doing that. I would work 12-hour days, like literally 12 to 12, like nonstop on my laptop or shooting, coming home, editing, like sending it off, revising, all that stuff, and then switching to creator stuff in the afternoon or evenings, or like vice versa. And then on top of it, I would, I now have the swimwear line, so it's something that I have to think about. But just staying constantly organized and balanced. I think balance is a really good word to use, because I definitely used to like overload myself a lot, and I didn't really notice until like later, like 2 years ago, where I was just like mentally exhausted. I was like, I don't know why I don't give myself breaks. I was like, hold on, wait, I work for myself. Hold on, I
Yeah.
can give myself breaks. So now my routine is very much more free flowing, and I think it works a lot better. But yeah, just time management is key,
Hmm.
especially because like I know that some of me and my friends, we always like have these lists of things that we want to do, and we want to get to it all at once because it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to like slow down and like
Hmm.
remember, again, this is where like patience comes in play, where it's like it's okay,
Yeah.
everything will like fall into place the way it's meant to, but like stay on top of your assignments, and like just keep organized. And if you need a day to just like stop everything, just take the day. Like
And
people,
what does like a break look like to you?
uh,
Because to a lot of people, it's like like a mask, doing a mask. But I know that like when you're in the beauty space as a job, like do you want to do a skincare routine? So like what does a break look like to you?
a break to me is like literally putting my laptop away and grabbing a book. Like
Mm,
grabbing a book. Lately, it's been reading a lot. I finally found like the niche of book that I like, so it just makes
yeah,
it even more fun to just like, okay, I'm gonna put my work away because I want to read.
yeah,
Like, it's not like I'm
yeah.
forcing myself to do it to relax. It's more so like I look forward to it. So almost every night I now like stop work at a specific time, and I'm like, okay, like time to eat and grab a book and like put away everything else. Because I do have this habit of just like I'll pick up my phone and start like working on Instagram and stuff, and then I'm like, no, put it
Yeah.
away. So when I
Yeah.
have a good book, that's usually what my break looks like. And I do love the occasional skincare night. Like I definitely, especially over the pandemic, since we couldn't go into salons, I was like, all right, I need to get like a face steamer and do this at home. So that also is very much like a break to me. But you're right. It does sometimes feel like work because you're like, okay, I'm going to test out these products. And like those little things are working. That's working.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to put that aside and just do something that doesn't involve any of my work.
Found working with you is like you're honestly a very positive person. So how like what do you do to kind of stay in that happy, positive mindset? Because sometimes I find creatives are very hard on themselves
Yeah.
and you are your art. So what do you do to stay positive?
I grew up with a lot of bullying as a kid, so I automatically am always like treat people with kindness, like kill people with
Mhm.
kindness, treat people with kindness. When I got onto YouTube, I remember the first thing I told myself was kill people with kindness. It doesn't matter what people say in the comments, just kill them with kindness, be happy, be positive. Like there's no need to be negative, and like no need to be hard on yourself. Like, not everyone's gonna like what you do, and that's okay. I think staying positive is like it's not that it's not hard, but I think when you get into this groove of just constantly like being positive to yourself and like getting up and reminding yourself, like you look really beautiful today, or like, I like this about me this morning. There are definitely mornings where I roll out of bed and stare at myself and be like, huh, my skin looks great today. And then that's how I
Mm.
start my day. Or like, I'm going to go to the gym this morning, and like I'll go like twice a month, but feel phenomenal kind of thing just because I did that. I think staying positive is just one of the easiest ways to like give back to yourself and give back to
Mhm.
others. I think it should inspire others to be kind to people, because again, with like the, social media life nowadays, it's a lot harder to be nice apparently.
Yeah.
So my platform is always like always happy. Like I try to stay as like positive. I'll definitely share like days where it's hard or like not doing so well, but not in a way where it's like I'm beating myself down. It's more like it's okay to have a good day or like a bad day. Um, and I try to take things that could be negative but make them into something positive. So like again, if you're having not so good of a day, it's like it's gonna be okay. Kind of like those little things. And that just kind of contributes to being positive and like and also when I get feedback from, my followers, it's like, you're always so, nice. And that to me is like successful. If I can just like spread that even to my friend groups, and my family, like if I can just make sure that everyone is having a good time, is happy, like is, taking care of themselves, it also reflects back on my energy as well, right? So it's practicing self-love is like a form of positivity.
As I told you, we're going to get into books a little bit because, so, I just couldn't interview you without asking about books. So, from your cosplay TikToks to including books in your content, like, for your work with brands like Endy and others, it's clear that you have a big love of reading. So, what aspects of your work and inspiration do you draw from the books that you read?
It's such an interesting question. I think the inspiration honestly comes from like other creative people on TikTok. I think when I initially got into this realm, and I'm using the word realm on purpose, but initially when I got into it, it's like a whole other world of social media that I have been missing, and I'm so mad at myself. I was like, wait, where have you guys been my whole life? But I think I draw inspiration from the books in terms of like, I guess the characters. I really like I decided I've always admired people who cosplay, and I think it's so cool, and it kind of ties into the beauty aspect of like what I like
Mhm.
to do is like just constantly trying new things, and like becoming somebody else is kind of fun. And I think it is also just like great practice in front of the camera and like working in that aspect. But I think when you put yourself into like a character's shoe, and then you get to kind of play around on TikTok with sounds and like movie scenes or like creating your own concepts, I think when you tie them into books, it's a whole other like inspiration of fun. And then the feedback you get from it too, from people who also feel the same way, is like a whole other like ball game. I think it's just been so much fun. And inspiration from the books is just mainly like, it's almost like you're in a different reality. So I kind of like to switch. That's why I kind of keep it on TikTok. Is like I don't want to mesh
Mhm.
my Instagram with my TikTok actually, because my Instagram is like a daily like human version of myself, and my TikTok is more of like a playful, fun, nerdy side that I really like. And so I was like, I don't think I want to mesh the two. I kind of like that I have them separated. And
Yeah.
and TikTok's been really, really cool for that. Like there's just been so many more fun ways to do cosplay, makeup, transitions, and like incorporating brand work into it is just it's also so much fun. Like, and I think the brands also tend to enjoy it as well. They're like, oh, this is so cool. Like it's so different. But yeah, I guess like my answer for that, it was so long. I'm so sorry. But my answer is
That's good.
it's hard to draw like nail down exactly what inspiration is from the books, because it could be anything from like characters to just like daydreaming to like wanting to be
Mhm.
a part of a different like world. Funny enough, I just did like a fantasy shoot the other day, so it's gonna come out on TikTok. I'm very excited.
I need to ask, how long does it sometimes take you to do some of the cosplay looks? Because some of them are quite intricate.
I recently did some Halloween looks, and those took some time because I literally just was like mirroring an image, and I'm like, all right, there's no tutorials on this. I have to wing it.
Yeah.
Same with some, like character cosplay, like that can take. It depends on what they look like, but it can take from like half an hour to like 45 minutes. I try to be kind of quick, but the filming process on top of it takes me like 2 hours, because I'll
Yeah.
like film a bunch of stuff. Because when you're in the cosplay, like you don't want to constantly like have to go back and do that again because it's so much effort. So when you're already in it, you want to make sure you're filming like all the stuff that you've saved, and I'll like make like a list of like sounds that I've like saved or like visuals I had in mind for like scenes out of the book. So it does take time. I
Wow. The entire like pre-production, production, and post, man,
And
you're doing
post
it all.
100%, 100%,
Yeah.
like, thinking about, like, "Oh, like, this sound kinda sounds like this scene of a book," and then you just kinda act it out and make it up, but it seems to do well, and I kinda have fun with it. It's, again, a different outlet of creativity that doesn't feel like work.
Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I just want to end it on maybe giving us like where people can find you, like what your various handles are on different platforms.
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys want, you can find me on YouTube, which is Modern Day Chivalry. So is my Instagram, Modern Day Chivalry, and so is my TikTok. I try to keep it as easy as possible. All the handles are the same, so you can find me on any of those.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks.